A nation of immigrants. The United States is known as a nation of immigrants. When the U.S. became a country in 1776, people from different backgrounds were already living there. There were Native Americans, European colonists, and slaves from other countries. Since then, people from all over the world have settled in the U.S. Waves of immigrants began arriving to the U.S. in the 1800s. Over 7.5 million immigrants arrived between 1820 and 1870. That was more than the total population of the United States in 1810. About 2/3 of these immigrants came from Ireland and Germany. In addition, many immigrants from South America, Asia, and other places were attracted to California after gold was found there in the mid-1800s. They came to look for gold with the hope of getting rich. This event was called the California Gold Rush. Immigration increased in the 1880s. There were several reasons for this. First of all, it was easier to travel to the United States because ships were larger and more powerful. This made trips much shorter and cheaper. Between 1880 and 1920, more than 20 million people immigrated to the U.S. by ship. Another reason people moved to the United States at this time was to flee persecution. For example, Jewish people emigrated from countries in Eastern Europe because their lives were in danger there. Finally, migrant workers from Mexico came to the U.S. to find jobs. At that time, the government welcomed them because farms needed more workers. Not all Americans were happy about this rise in immigration. So the government passed a law restricting the number of immigrants allowed into the country. The Immigration Act of 1924 set quotas for different nationalities. These quotas favored Europeans and excluded people from Asia. This discriminatory policy was replaced by the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. This new law allowed immigrants to bring family members to the U.S. It also gave priority to people with special skills, such as doctors. There were still quotas, but the result of this law was an increase in the number of immigrants from Asia and Africa. Today, immigrants continue to come in large numbers, and immigration is a hot-button issue for politicians. But one thing is clear: people from all over the world will always immigrate to the U.S. in search of a better life. The United States will always be a nation of immigrants.